Uruz, the second rune of the Elder Futhark, a symbol of raw strength, endurance, and the primal force of life itself. Where Ferhu spoke of wealth and resources, Uruz speaks of power. Not the kind of power that rules people, but the untamed vitality that drives survival and transformation. To work with Uruz is to stand before a force larger than yourself and learn how to shape it, without being consumed. Uruz represents the aurochs, a now extinct species of wild cattle that once roamed Europe. These animals were immense, fast, and dangerous, nothing like today's tamed herds. To hunt one was an act of skill and courage. To live among them was to live with respect for nature's power. Carving Uruz was not just writing a letter, it was invoking an image of living force, physical health, endurance, and the life energy that animates all beings. But Uruz was more than a reminder of muscle and bone. It also stood for potentiality, raw power waiting to be shaped. Like a block of uncut stone or an untrained bull, it contained possibility. Whether that possibility was turned to creation or destruction depends on human will. Strength is not only physical, it is also psychological. In modern psychology, we call this resilience, the capacity to withstand stress, adapt, and grow stronger through hardship. This is Uruz at work. It is the raw force of vitality, but also the process of shaping that force into persistence. The aurochs were unpredictable, untamed, and free. To face it demanded courage, presence, and respect. The same is true of life. Challenges are not optional. They come with uncertainty and danger. Uruz reminds us that to survive, you must face them head-on. Psychologists have long studied how stress functions. Too much can break us, but in the right dose, it forges us. Stress sharpens focus, mobilizes energy, and builds adaptation. Uruz encodes this principle. Pressure transforms. The challenge that threatens you is also the challenge that strengthens you. There is also the psychology of embodiment. The fact that mind and body are inseparable. How you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you move, all these shape your inner state. Our ancestors knew this intuitively. They carved Uruz not as a sound on the page, but as a sign of presence, vitality, and unyielding confidence. In modern terms, Uruz is a reminder to reconnect with the body, to move, to breathe, to inhabit your strength. When you summon Uruz, you are not picturing an abstract symbol. You are invoking the wild, grounded, resilient part of yourself. Finally, Uruz speaks of what psychologists call post-traumatic growth. The idea that hardship, while it leaves scars, can also create wisdom, toughness, and clarity. Uruz is not the absence of struggle, it is the transformation that struggle makes possible. The raw force of adversity becoming the tempered strength of endurance. How do we bring Uruz into the present? Number 1. Reconnect with vital energy. Move your body, spend time in wild places, test your limits. Uruz is about embodied experience. It can't be understood by thought alone. Number 2. Transformation through challenge. Treat challenges as modern hunts. Each one faced with awareness is a way of meeting the aurochs within. Number 3. Symbolic practice. Draw or carve Uruz before a workout, a demanding project, or a healing process. Let it anchor the mindset. Strength exists in you, but it must be summoned and directed. Uruz is not static. It is a rune of becoming. It marks the turning point where you stop being who you were and begin to become something more, shaped by pressure, forged by trial. Runic inscriptions found on talismans, weapons, and tools tells us that runes were used in magical contexts. Our ancestors carved symbols on objects to grant protection, invoke vitality, or bind intentions. In the case of Uruz, traditional rune lore and rune magic sources associated with strength, vitality, and regeneration. Some practitioners believe that carving or inscribing Uruz on an object could link it to these qualities, calling upon the primal power of the aurochs as a metaphorical well of energy. We can frame Uruz as embodying potential, a force that can be shaped by will and skill rather than dominating blindly. In the mythic and symbolic tradition, warriors may have invoked Uruz for endurance. Healers may have seen it as a supportive of recovery. In modern rune work, some draw or meditate on Uruz to summon inner strength, visualizing it as a power center and aligning mind and body to withstand trials. These usages are not always documented in ancient sources, but they reflect how the rune has been understood in runecraft tradition over centuries. Uruz is not gentle. It does not promise comfort or ease. It is the mirror of life's raw force, and the call to meet that force with discipline and courage. Ferhu taught us stewardship of resources. Uruz teaches us mastery of self, forged through trial and transformation. Where Ferhu spoke of wealth and resources, Uruz speaks of power. Not the kind of power that rules people, but the untamed vitality that drives survival and transformation. The runes are more than symbols. They are a training ground for the mind, the body, and the spirit.